The Trump order calls for broader National Guard role in domestic unrest, a news story written by Dan Lamothe and read by an AI-generated voice. President Donald Trump on Monday directed the National Guard to prepare for deeper involvement in any future civil unrest throughout the United States and called for the creation of a new military unit that is deputized to enforce federal laws, specifically in D.C. The president issued the orders as he muses openly about deploying U.S. troops to other major U.S. cities and touts his efforts so far to assume greater federal control over the district, where more than 2,200 National Guard members have been mobilized to support an expansive and polarizing law enforcement mission. State and local leaders in some of those jurisdictions have decried the idea, portraying Trump's domestic employment of the military as an un-American power grab. In his executive order, Trump directed Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to ensure that each state's National Guard is trained, organized, and prepared to respond to civil disturbances within their jurisdictions. And he called for the creation of a standing rapid response force composed of Guard members that can go anywhere in the U.S. on little notice. It was not immediately clear how the orders will take shape. In a statement, the Pentagon acknowledged Trump's directive but said little else about it. The department is reviewing the order and its specific requirements, it said. We will provide updates or announcements as appropriate. The new D.C. National Guard unit would be activated under Title 32, the same section of U.S. law under which Trump directed Guard members to deploy this month after complaining about the city's efforts to address violent crime. Other cabinet officials who oversee law enforcement agencies were directed to coordinate with Hegseth and deputize the members of this unit to enforce federal law, the order says. Trump has declared a crime emergency in D.C., though data maintained by the city's police department shows that instances of violent crime have fallen since 2023. The Justice Department and Republicans in the House have launched investigations into whether D.C. police manipulated crime statistics to make them appear lower, as Trump has alleged. The National Guard's Rapid Response Unit was first reported by the Washington Post this month as the initiative took shape. Planning documents show the administration wants a domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force, with about 600 troops on standby at all times who are ready to deploy within an hour. They would be split into two groups of 300 and stationed at military bases in Alabama and Arizona. Trump on Monday also responded to a furious backlash from elected leaders and others in Illinois after the Post first reported this weekend that there is active military planning for the potential deployment of thousands of troops, either National Guard or active duty personnel, to Chicago in a model that could be used in other cities. Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, both Democrats, have said there is no emergency that warrants such action. Trump, speaking in the Oval Office, muddied the water when asked about his plans for Chicago. At first, he called the city a disaster and said that Pritzker should be asking for federal help in addressing violent crime there. But the president stopped short of saying he would order a military deployment, saying that until he gets a request from Pritzker, I'm not going to do anything about it. Moments later, however, he said his administration may just go in and do it, which is probably what we should do. The legality of such an effort, without the consent of local officials, would almost certainly be challenged in court. Pritzker, as governor, oversees the Illinois National Guard. Trump can federalize and deploy Guard members there for narrow and specific missions, but Pritzker has made it clear he is opposed to any such effort. The governor addressed the issue again Monday, saying that no one on Trump's staff has reached out to him about a deployment, and that circumstances in the city do not merit what he characterized as a heavy-handed approach. If it sounds to you like I am alarmist, that is because I am ringing an alarm, one that I hope every person listening will heed, both here in Illinois and across the country, the governor said. Such a deployment, he said, is exactly the type of overreach that our country's founders warned against. And it's the reason they established a federal system with a separation of powers built on checks and balances. What President Trump is doing is unprecedented and unwarranted, Pritzker said.